I think so many people are watching women's basketball right now. It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
It was a moment that sent shockwaves through the world of women's college basketball. On April 2nd, 2023, during the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship game, the tension was palpable. The stakes couldn't have been higher as two titans, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, collided on the court, each bringing their own unique energy to the game. What happened in those final minutes? It was more than just a game, it was a defining moment in sports, with one player getting the last word. Caitlin Clark, the woman who humiliated her longtime rival, Angel Reese.
To win WNBA Player of the Month since the award's inception in 2010, and last night, it was no exception. They were sky high for Caitlin Clark and the Fever, but to start the season, they had a little bit of a rough go of it. They lost their first 5 games. They ended up 1-8 through their first 9 games, and during that first month, the playoffs, they didn't feel realistic at all. Indy entered the Olympic break 11-15 on the year, and then they really turned it around. They've won 7 of their 8 since. They clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2016, which, by the way, was the last year of Hall of Famer and franchise icon Tamika.
But this wasn't just about basketball. This was about defiance, attitude, and a rivalry that had been brewing for months. So how did the story unfold, and what made the showdown so memorable? Let's break it down. The setup.
I was kind of expecting it, honestly. It's disrespectful.
A rivalry that built up. Caitlin Clark, the sharpshooting guard for the University of Iowa, had already established herself as one of the most dominant players in college basketball. Known for her deadly three-point shooting, remarkable court vision, and fierce competitive nature, Clark was a player who could turn the tide of a game with one shot. By 2023, she had already led Iowa to a number of high-profile victories, including her extraordinary performances in the NCAA tournament. On the other hand, Angel Reese, a forward for Louisiana State University, LSU, was no stranger to controversy. Known for her trash-talking, bold personality and no-nonsense style of play, Reese had become one of the most formidable forces in women's basketball.
Me and Caitlin Clark don't hate each other. I want everybody to understand that it's just a super competitive game.
In the run-up to the championship game, both players had been drawing attention for their strong individual performances, with some even suggesting a rivalry between the two. The back and forth began long before the championship game. Throughout the season, Reese and Clark were often compared, Clark being the fan-favorite sharpshooter, while Reese was the physical presence on the court. Reese had even made headlines earlier in the tournament when she had called out Clark, saying that she was tired of hearing about Clark's success, even going so far as to question why Clark was often labeled as the face of women's basketball. But what really set the stage for the championship game was a series of trash-talking moments leading up to the final. The media stoked the fire with comparisons and headlines that amplified the perceived rivalry, and fans were already on the edge of their seats, anticipating the eventual showdown. The big game, Clark's moment of glory.
I'm sorry, it just has me laughing because she had like 5 points with 4 minutes left in the fourth. Now a double-double. Caitlin Clark is winning games, and Angel is disrespecting the game by doing the most egregious stat padding I've ever seen to continue a streak that only exists so her fans have something to point to. It's embarrassing. She scored 10 points. Half of them literally were after the Fever cleared the bench and were up 30.
The 2023 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship game between LSU and Iowa was a spectacle, drawing millions of viewers. The game quickly became a battleground, not just for a national title, but for the hearts of fans who had been eagerly watching the rise of both Clark and Reese. From the start of the game, Caitlin Clark was in her element.
Caitlin Clark became the first ever rookie in WNBA history to record a triple-double twice in the same season. In that game, Clark scored her 103-point shot this season, becoming just the 6th woman. My WNBA Player of the Week, surprise, surprise, Indiana Fever rookie sensation, Caitlin Clark. There's nothing really to say other than that. She's winning Rookie of the Year. She's a top candidate for League MVP hunt.
She knocked down three-pointers with ease, directing her Iowa teammates with the precision of a seasoned veteran. The crowd roared as Clark sunk a deep three-pointer from nearly half court, a signature move that had become her trademark.
At what point were you waiting to pull out this kind of the Caitlin Clark?
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a
incredible.
player. player for sure. But I don't take disrespect lightly, and she disrespected Alexis. I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment.
But Angel Reese was not backing down. The LSU forward responded with her own brand of intensity. She dominated the paint, grabbing rebounds and making aggressive plays.
Came out a few weeks ago that said Caitlin Clark received 17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls this season, and 80% of those flagrant fouls were committed by the Chicago Sky against Caitlin Clark League. And that's what a lot of players and coaches said about Caitlin Clark and about the rookie class coming into the league, is that that was going to be something that they would need to adjust to. They would need to adjust to the physicality of this league. So there have been cheap shots, there have been hard fouls, there have been other plays that haven't even been called flagrant fouls, but when you have the face of your league getting nearly 20% of all flagrant fouls called against her, that is an issue.
As the game unfolded, both players continued to exchange verbal jabs, Reese mocking Clark's game while Clark focused on executing her skills. The tension on the court was palpable. However, as the game progressed, the momentum began to shift. Despite Clark's incredible efforts, LSU, led by Reese, had a commanding lead. With minutes left in the fourth quarter, the game was out of Iowa's reach, and LSU was on the verge of securing its first national title since 2008. Then came the moment that would go down in history.
But as a coach of the home team, there's going to be a lot of people cheering for that other side. I mean,
I'll get two shits.
How about one?
Not even one shit.
Reese, standing near Clark during the final moments of the game, pointed to her ring finger, signaling her impending championship victory. It was a direct jab at Clark, a show of confidence that resonated across the nation. Reese was making sure that Clark knew who had won. Clark's response and the media backlash. As Reese taunted Clark with the ring gesture, many thought this would be the moment of vindication for Reese, who had been overshadowed by Clark's media dominance throughout the tournament. But it was Clark's response that caught everyone off guard. Instead of getting caught up in the drama or showing frustration, Clark kept her focus. In the face of Reese's taunting, Clark simply walked off the court. She held her head high, maintaining her poise, even as the victory was slipping away. It was clear to anyone watching that Caitlin Clark wasn't rattled. She wasn't going to engage in the verbal sparring with Reese.
Even when we get down and things don't go our way, like, we still find a way to win. And but I think just obviously you can start to tell, like, we're just getting more comfortable overall playing with each other, our chemistry, we know where our teammates are going to be, and then also just setting our teammates up for success, like put them in positions that they can be successful in. I think we've done a better job of that.
Her silent defiance spoke volumes. It wasn't the taunts or antics that defined her. It was her game. She didn't need to stoop to a rival's level. She would let her skills on the court do the talking. The aftermath of the game saw a surge of opinions. Some fans supported Reese's.
Everybody knows that the reason why our teams around the league are having sellouts are because Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are coming to town. Angel Reese has impacted their attendance at the Chicago games, I suspect on the road as well. So what the league can do is be ready to capitalize on the moments. But it's much like when we saw Bird and Magic come in the league, right? That the league has been building, for a watershed moment, and we're here, and now you got to take advantage of it.
Taunting, believing it was a well-earned gesture of confidence.
Clark. Caitlin Clark.
Others, however, sided with Clark, arguing that her grace under pressure had made Reese's behavior seem childish. Social media erupted with heated debates. Memes, commentary, and interviews from both players flooded the internet. But the real twist came after the game. In a post-game interview, Clark wasn't bitter. Instead, she praised LSU's performance, acknowledging that Reese and her teammates had played a great game. This humble response, coupled with her earlier poise, solidified Clark's status as a true sportswoman. She had the ability to let her game speak for itself, even in the face of trash talking and controversy. The aftermath of the game would leave lasting marks on both players. While Angel Reese's trash talk and ring gestures dominated headlines for a time, it was Caitlin Clark's reaction that would ultimately define her legacy. What do you think of the showdown between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese? Who do you believe handled the situation better? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more breakdowns of unforgettable moments in sports. Until next time, stay tuned.